Hi, Frank. Welcome to Tech Laughs and Bytes. So we are excited to have you with us. And just to let you know, this is episode 7. So we're excited, and I'm also excited about this topic that we are going to talk about. We're going to talk about a lot about product management. But before we dive right into these questions, could you just tell us how you got into the tech industry? What inspired you? What kind of like just made you get into the role you are now in, product management role?
Yeah, super interesting. First off, you said it's your episode 7. 7 is an interesting number, so I'm super excited to be here. And
Yay.
the background story, my journey to tech and product management, it's really been incredible. Incredible, I must say. I started out in engineering, so I studied engineering, and post-study, I had interest in management. So management was where it began. My first post-study employment was as an operations manager, and I did it for quite some time. It was fun, as at the time, you're trying to keep things running, keep the operations flow, check from end to end, customers, the stakeholders, and also
Yeah.
navigating
Mhm.
the ecosystem as a whole, right? So this year was
Yeah.
2018, 2019, and it was pretty fun. But 2020,
Mhm.
that was the peak of COVID-19, and things changed. Post-COVID and even pre-COVID, a lot of things changed.
Okay.
There was that need for technical insight. There was that need for a
Mhm.
lot of companies with transitioning remote and the rest and all of that. And one interesting thing that also happened was some founders were retrenching their staffs. So what happened with my company is we're losing a lot of employees, we're losing a lot of them, but the demand was still more. And that
Mhm.
was the journey. That was where it began. So pre-COVID, and then in the peak of COVID, there was the need for keeping our company afloat, and there was nobody supposed to do that because we lost almost
Okay.
70% of our technical team. We lost 70% of our technical team. So it was just basically the CTO, the operations manager, which was myself, and the founder. We're trying to stay in the market at least to survive. And the CTO reaches out to me and he's like,
Yeah.
can we do can we do this? What do you think? And being a customer facing operations manager as at the time, it felt good. Okay, let's get the feedback from the customers. If we can integrate it into the system, it might work. I did all of this and we built what was version 2.0 of the product. Myself,
Okay.
I did not know what it was. I did not know versioning or anything like that. So yes, that
Okay.
was the beginning for me, just keeping the company alive. And
Yeah.
over time, I then get into the study and then eventually realized that what I did as a then and what
Mhm.
I've always been interested in was actually building products. So the final
Uh,
end of the story is that, okay, we got strategies in play, um, interacting with our stakeholders, that everyone that was affected as at the time with whatever decision we had to make, and then still
yeah.
keep the products in the market and still make
Yeah.
money even at that very peak COVID-19. We scaled, we
Yeah.
kept growing, and yeah, that's the journey for me. So we survived.
Awesome.
If I'm
Yeah.
having this conversation now, it means we survived. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it's just awesome thinking about it, like how, the problems or the challenges you face, especially when you're within the industry, the tech industry, can actually lead you to finding your purpose, which is what happened to you. So that is really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so pretty much this is a technical decision making question.
Mm-hmm.
So this picture this, right? So you are in a meeting, in a team meeting, and there's just this, you know, back and forth talk about database issues. So the team wants to stick with the good old database, what they are used to, which has been working. You guys have built amazing products with that. And but based on your research and your user interviews that you've done with your potential customers and users, you kind of realize that this database is not going to it's not going to do the job. And but basically, you try as much as possible to navigate the conversation. So what I'm trying to say is, how do you try as much as possible to navigate the conversation and convince your team to adopt a better suited alternative?
Okay, pretty interesting. This conversation, it keeps happening. And I have a recent event that occurred. But the
Okay.
fact is, information is key to making decision, right?
Mhm,
And for many reasons, the product manager has a lot of information at his disposal, and especially
mhm,
new information, right? There's outdated
yeah,
information, there's new information. And because you're speaking to the trends, you're abreast with all the new information. However, because your
mhm,
developers are comfortable with a certain system, they want to keep using that system. So it's normal, it happens.
yeah,
And what happened very recently for me was where I'm telling my developer that if we can use this, it was an AI tool, right? I can't say it on
okay,
this call because we're not
that's
sponsored yet.
okay.
So if we could
Yeah,
use
that's
this
okay.
AI tool, it would be interesting for what
Yeah.
we are doing. Would save time, would save cost, and then improve efficiency. But he's like, no, he prefers the old baggage way we've been doing things, and that was fine.
Mhm,
But what I then did over the course of time was to intentionally share documentations with him, right? This is the issue he had. This is the bottleneck he had. This is what he feels
right,
the new solution will bring. So I'm sharing more information on the subject with him. And then he gets to a point where he's like, oh, really, this is quite interesting, right? So
yeah.
it's not, they were not rebuffing because they are against it. It was because they did not know enough about it. So as the product manager, it's your duty at some point to always introduce this thing to them. And if they are like being withdrawn, you take them on a series of, I mean, there's that personal understanding, or you take them on a
Mm,
series of coaching, subtle ways where you're like
mm,
showing them, okay, if you, I just got to find this article interesting.
mhm,
Can you take a look at it? And then it's
mhm,
something involved in what we're discussing. And then over time, you're like, this is same with this. Would you reconsider your stance, given that it's obviously of more value to you than what we previously used? And I mean, given that
mm.
everybody is now on the same page, which was your ultimate goal as the PM, you can then
Yeah.
reconvene, have that conversation in a level playing ground. Yo, guys, what do you think about this? We now understand it better, given the information we have. So yeah, information helps decision making.
Great. That is really good. I think that's a really good way to look at it from sort of like, from where you have different teams in the room and everyone is like, trying to bring in their expertise.
Yeah,
But you as PM, you're bringing in facts. You're bringing in the stats and saying, well, this is what I think, we can even look it up in different articles, like, and based on the information that I have from the users, this would be a really, really good
yeah.
tech stack to use
And,
for
and
our
and you know,
system.
speaking of the users, that's another
Yeah,
angle, right? Most times the PM is having to speak with users, and the technical developers, they don't really love those conversations. So it's always pretty interesting. Sometimes you bring them into those conversations with users, and you're like,
yeah,
listen to what I also hear, and it helps the conversations going forward. That, oh, this is where you're coming from. I
yeah.
understand better, and then it helps make, yeah, real time facts.
Real time facts. That is definitely one I will always remember. Real time facts always solves a lot of heated
Yes.
conflict. So yeah. Okay. Awesome. So of course, right now in Nigeria, the fintech industry is booming. Like the fintech space, we're seeing so many amazing fintech products. So just out of curiosity, are there any of these products or features that you have, come across and you're like, that's really, really great? And I mean, from a PM perspective, and on the flip side, are there any other ones that made you think that this could have been better? So, and in that scenario, what would you have done differently? So the first one is, has there been anyone that's impressed you with any of their features? And has there been anyone you felt, oh, it could have been better? And what would you have done differently?
Okay. At this point, do we mention names?
Well, I think we can mention names, because obviously we widely use a lot of fintech products here in Nigeria.
Yeah. I'll stick with one for both
Okay.
ends of the question, and
Okay.
then interestingly, it's OP. OP is ease of
Okay.
use to run your
Okay.
run your financial decisions. And why I love OP
Okay.
is OP came into the market the way they did. Their go-to-market
Mm-hmm.
strategy, right? They made it easy
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
onboard a lot of visas as at the time, right? There was all right. So it was variant, product variant, right? And they knew what they wanted at the end of the
Okay.
day. So it is obvious at this
Okay.
time that wow, we realized that there was actually a
Yeah.
product strategy. They did not just come to the
Okay.
market for market's sake with different products. They knew their interest, they
Yeah.
knew where to begin, they knew they needed to reach
Mm-hmm.
out to the underserved communities. They knew they needed to onboard a lot of local businesses to the system. So they did that elephant's approach to getting into the market, right? Because as at the time, we had top banks, which I cannot mention,
Yeah.
pushing back on
Yeah. Of course.
fintech,
Yeah.
pushing back on an
Yeah.
application. The years, say
Mm-hmm.
2018, 2017, and the
Mm-hmm.
rest. So it comes with all right, all pay, all this, all food, and all of that, right? So
Okay.
the goal is that whatever you would need financing. So it builds a community, it builds trust. And if you are able to build community, you're able to then build trust for these communities. Is easy to sell whatever you want to sell. So that integral part of
Yeah.
product strategy was really noticeable with OP. And
Okay.
I think at the moment, this might be a crazy stat, but at least
Okay.
80% of urban populace they use OP, right?
Yeah.
80% of their transaction.
Oh
This is
wow.
on the
That's and
yes.
that's for a
This
fact.
is
And that's for a fact.
we can prove it after this call, but yes, this is on the side
I just
of
wanted to be
I
sure
mean
that that's a fact.
we still use our traditional banking system,
Thank you.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
we now use OP. So
Okay.
OP is not like the either or. We just it's and.
We
Do
just
you
use
get?
them. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So
And what
so
was
so
one distinct? Okay.
the things future they had. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
for instance, I want to pay bills. All right. It's
Okay.
very easy for me to
Yeah.
pay my bills, to recharge my phone with airtime, bill payments, the light bills, whatever. It was very easy to do so. And this is now the interesting flip of the story. So traditional
Okay.
banks,
Yeah.
they not naturally walk into a bank to ask to pay your bills. It's just financial transactions, right? You will not naturally walk into, for instance, Zenith Bank to say you want to pay electricity bill. It never happened, right? But given that
Okay.
Opay is giving us these services, we now
Those
see that
pictures. Yeah.
banks are now doing same, right? I recently opened my Access Bank and they are giving me e-commerce on Access Bank. So they really needed that market mover for them to move from just being a money exchange institution to being the entire
Institution.
financial body. And it took OPay to do that. But yeah, why I would say they can do better is their aesthetics, user interface. This
Okay.
some people argue is not really really important, but for me, if you've had the market and you're a
Hmm.
market leader obviously, or market niche market leader, you know very well that
Yeah.
this market has been tested, it has been proven. It's only going to take a
Hmm.
few moments for someone else to build something similar, and we've seen a lot of companies over time come up, and what they will just
Yeah.
need to do different is improve on their usability, right? So if they another different
Okay.
brand gets that usability bit better than they currently do, sadly
Better.
they'll be off that market leadership status. So I think they can improve on their UX UI for seamless delivery of what they are currently offering. The UX is cool, but I believe the UI can be even better.
Awesome. I mean, thinking about it, you just mentioned how, startups. It just reminded me of how startups actually makes a bigger companies see relevance in some really great features that can be added, and I
So
think Ope
so
just kind of like, yeah,
so the
which
conversation
is
the
really
conversation goes like, uh there's a junior star that comes and is like, this company is coming up, and the senior decision
yeah,
makers are like, don't worry, never mind. And then one day they're like,
yeah.
what's
They just boom, and they just
yeah, let's
explode
do something,
literally,
let's
and
do
they're like
something, that
everyone's
kind of thing.
favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
that's
it's
really
pretty
good.
interesting,
That's
yeah.
really, yeah, it's really interesting. And in the tech industry, we'll continue to see how, people in the tech industry come up with amazing ideas. And I think
Yeah,
what's really great about, like you mentioned, Ope, is the amount of time they were able to capture a lot of customers within a short amount of time. I think that really stands out for them as well.
yeah, it does. It cuts a lot, myself inclusive.
Yeah, yourself inclusive. Okay, that's really good. That's really good. Okay. So my next question is, so let's say, you're having a meeting with your software engineering team and of course stakeholders as well. And then there's this, how when you want when you guys are in a meeting and you have the must have, should have, could have, for your product management. And then, of course, the guys who are dishing out the money, the stakeholders who's signing the checks, the CFOs, are saying, well, Frank, I think those nice to have should be in the must have. And then you're like, okay, well, cool, cool. Well, so are we kind of like moving the launch date to 2050? And so basically my question is, how do you bring them back to reality, or how do you handle such pushbacks, while protecting the delivery timeline for your product?
Pretty interesting, and this is salient because it's a day-to-day challenge we face as product managers. However, two things can happen. It's either they have the money, so it's either we let them burn the money, right? Or no, for real, because something called ODD. ODD is
Yeah,
Oga-driven development in local balance, right? Oga is saying, let's do this. So, in as
okay,
much as you're bringing the facts, and they are
yeah,
not seeing the fact with you because they're emotionally attached to their product, which is understandable. They want something different, and you've seen that this is a nice to have. And before you're using Moscow, it's obvious that you're prioritizing, right? But this is a case that they want the nice to have fact instead of the must have. And for
okay,
instance, you're launching an MVP. So it's always nice to first off either let the money burn, but
mhm,
that will not be a cool advice, right? So what I would prefer to do is, no, for real, is refer the company back to the product vision and then
okay,
the business objectives, right? So the vision is to do XYZ, which is constant, and then the business
okay,
objectives, at least for 2025 Q3 to
okay,
Q4, is to do
okay,
these three things, right? To
yeah,
increase revenue, cut costs, or
okay,
to enter into a new market, right?
okay,
So we would always refer back, and product strategy is the next thing. So you have the vision, the business
mhm,
objective, and the product strategy. So it is nice, it is great to always refer back to the vision, which will help you know, okay, this is the business objectives. But most times, founders, co-founders, or company owners,
yeah,
investors, they've seen the business objective and they want something else. So
yeah,
when you remind them that that's nice to have would not help achieve these three business objectives, because there's a product strategy that to do number one in this business objective, which is to cut costs, right?
yeah,
We need to
yes,
do this future, that future, that future. So what you want right now will not help us achieve number one, number two, number three. And then they're
Right.
like, yeah. Are you saying, yeah? But
Yeah.
you can then do this, which is in the must have. This is why I had must have. If you do
Yeah.
this, you would see
Hmm.
that when you do this, it will help you achieve not just one business objective. It's going to somehow trickle into the number two and number three.
Yeah.
And this is why it is a must. We have to do it. And
Okay.
then another thing is something we call postmortem. So what would most likely cause the failure if you actually eventually fail? What are the things
Yeah.
that will cause? So if you then do that postmortem analysis to see,
Yeah.
okay, if I launch this nice to have product, right? What would it gain? What would be the gain? Or if I launch this, what would be the gain? And then let's analyze our failure moments. And right,
Yeah.
and if of course the business objective is to reach 1,000 persons daily, which is over
Yeah.
331,000 people daily with your application, which is over
Yeah.
1 million over time. You need to do this set of things, and then bringing it back to the business objective is always key. But some of that thing I like to do, I mean, of course, this is project management. Is there's a constraint of time, budget,
Okay.
and scope, right? If we cannot have
Yeah.
this, it would affect the length of time. If we
Okay.
want to really have this, we have to increase time. But if we have a limited budget, it means we have to stay with a small scope. So always bringing that graph in play that for what they need, which does not directly influence or impact our business objective. We need one, more time, two,
Yeah.
higher budgets. So are
I
we
am.
ready to invest in that? And there's always going to be the reflection. But if you've done this as a
Yeah.
PM and nothing
Yeah.
changes, I think you go back to the point number one, let the money burn.
Let the money burn.
Don't
No,
try to
stay.
don't try to your company though. Don't let
Okay.
it burn.
No, we can't. We can't let money burn because obviously, the money should be used for something really way
Yeah,
more productive.
definitely.
But
Definitely.
yeah, just iterating with what you said, I think it's really essential because a lot of times, when stakeholders are like, "Oh, but why is that, could have, why is not, or why is that nice to have, not in the must have?" Because they are not thinking from the perspective of the cost savings or they're just thinking, oh, this product will be great. So you saying, being able to bring them back to reality to say, well, I know how amazing it would be. In fact, that is why it's in our nice to have. It would be amazing
Yes.
to include them, but probably at this version of this product, giving the vision, the strategy, and our objectives, you know, it will be better if we just, not put this in this version and have that in the second version of the product, which at the end of the day will be a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's
communication,
really
communication is really vital, obviously. The way you
yes,
present it and not bruise their ego is also very, very valuable.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to prioritization. So if you were to rank, we're talking about communication just a couple of seconds ago, and we said if you were to rank this in the order of importance when managing your products and with your teams. So you have speed, quality, communication, strategy, and cost savings. What's getting the gold medal and what's sitting on the bench?
Oh, wow.
Speed,
Interesting. Say it
quality,
again. Speed,
quality, communication,
speed,
yeah, quality,
quality,
communication,
communication,
strategy,
strategy,
strategy, and yeah, and cost savings.
costs, savings.
Absolutely. So, which is going to get the gold medal, and which is going on the bench? Pretty much an order of importance. when you're managing a team, when you're managing a product within a team?
Okay, so the gold medal, yeah, and then on the bench. So
Yeah.
number one, gold medal, the rest bench, yeah.
So pretty much just at the,
On top
ascending order. So
five,
pretty much
four,
saying,
three, two,
okay, so which
one.
one comes priorities? Yeah, yeah, which would you give the highest? Because they're important, right? They're all really, really important. So it's kind of like saying, well, which one is kind of like really important? How would you, if you had a number 1 to 5, where would you place each of those? Um, where would you place each of them? So where would you place speed? Where would you place quality? Where would you place communication? Where would you place strategy? And where would you place cost savings?
Okay, so interesting that for these five, I have my answer, top
Yeah.
one. And
Okay.
just the
Okay.
background why this is my top one. If I effect
Okay.
it, if I prioritize it, if I make efforts
Yeah.
to improving it, it would somehow trickle down to the rest. And so my number one pick
Oh.
is, yeah, is strategy. For instance, if I work on my
Mm,
strategy, it
mm-hmm.
would definitely improve my costs. It's cost saving is actually a strategy on itself. So whatever I do,
Yes.
choosing between quality and speed is a strategy. So strategy will go
Yeah.
first. And
Yeah.
um, strategy going first because I need to then communicate this strategy to a team who would understand what I have to do, also get the feedback as well as the obvious impacts of the products that would then happen. Communication will be
Yeah.
number two. So it's
Mm.
can I go 5 to 4? So or one to
Yeah.
five,
Yeah.
top down.
One to
So
five.
it's
One to five.
it's strategy,
Okay.
communication,
Okay.
uh now between speed and quality, there's a bias. Do you take time and build rubbish? Or you
Okay. Speed and quality. Yeah. You don't want to take time to
okay.
build.
Actually, yeah,
Hmm?
this depends. This depends on the
Okay.
dynamics of the company.
Okay.
And this is a personal bias. It's easy
Okay.
for you to get into the market
Okay.
fast so that your
Yeah.
competitors will not do the same thing, and you also get the data and then improve on what you were doing to reach the best quality possible. So with these
Okay.
reasons, speed will be number three. When I go to the market
Okay.
fast, yeah,
Okay.
it
Okay.
was tough. Well, yeah, when I go to the market fast, I'm then able to get the feedbacks from the clients and then able to
Yeah.
see where I got it wrong. Not like you're
Yeah.
building crazy, but at least
Yeah.
you're building an MVP basically, right? And then
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
time, you can then improve on the quality of the outputs the users are getting. So number
Yeah.
four, then the quality, then it leaves us with number five. If you're in the market early, it then means you're a market mover, right? And it's easy for you
Yeah.
to think of ways to save costs over time. So number five will be the last.
Because
I'll run it down again. So strategy,
okay.
communication, speed,
Strategy
quality, and cost savings.
and cost savings. I think you really I would have still chosen in that same manner just for the same reason you
Really?
said. Because yes, because cost say strategy actually, kind of like falls down to, all of
Yeah.
if you know how to communicate properly, and then you can, build your product with as much faster as you can. And of course, when you build your product fast, but during the strategy part, everything in terms of getting the quality for the products, still falls down on the strategy. And like you mentioned, because you are, trying to build really, really fast, at the end of the day, you're not building the product for yourself, you're building the product for people to use. And it's those people that give you the feedback and to go back and iterate on on um on the product. And then, of course, and for the final one as well, cost savings is the same thing. If you follow through the strategy, which sits at the top, from the strategy, it all still boils down. So yeah, so awesome. Yeah, that's really great. Yay. I know, right? That's really good. Okay, so let's say, let's picture this, within your team. You guys have done 90% of the work, and there's this the roadmap is shining, like, oh, I'm so happy we've done 90% of the work, you know, and the team is even, and then we are almost done. Why do we need to change a feature? It doesn't even make sense. So that's pretty much like someone just threw a curveball. you know so my question
my,
is,
my quickest instance would be, it's like you boarded the flight and you want to go from, say, New York to Santiago, and then mid-air your pilot is like, we're going to Nigeria.
and you're like, why? Why?
Yeah.
you know
And you
um
can't
so
admit, you can't calm down. So you're
you
like,
can't come down, you just have to
just
go
need that
back.
explanation, like why?
Honestly, and it's funny because you feel like we're just about popping the champagne, like we're
Yeah.
literally just about
Just
you know
you've calculated
celebrating.
some
you know
things.
do you get, like, the last 10% is probably just documentation, to kind of like pull the documentation together and just put it out there. And then you get a change request and you're like, how do
You
I
know
handle
what?
this call?
Guys? I have thought about this, and
you know but
yeah,
again, based on, of course, been a lot of costs that has gone into this product. So,
yeah,
and all the strategy that has been put in place is like, well, we already have users who are waiting to pay for this product, right? It's quite a complex one, because when you think about it, users are ready to pay, and a stakeholder throws in a curveball, and you don't want to disappoint your users. At the same time, that new request fixture that was being sent to the team. So pretty much, so how do you, and again, it's very dicey, because this can kind of like derail the team's morale, because the team might be like, how sometimes you finish with a product and you're like, we're done with that product, we're not going back, we're not touching it. Like, and and then you have to go back. So how do you make sure that, one, you can deal with the team's morale, two, you can deal with the timeline that it's been given, to knowing fully well that you have customers waiting, especially paying customers who are going to pay for your products. And so pretty much, how do you handle this?
I'm thinking of this question, and I'm also thinking about an experience. So it's giving me
Okay.
flashbacks.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All
But
right.
here's the thing. I previously said some, or most founders are emotionally attached for obvious reasons to their products. So emotionally attached means, even if they started with a vision, which is a foresight, at some point
Yeah.
a lot of things happen, and then instead of looking foresight, they are looking
Yeah.
sideways. They are looking at,
Yeah.
oh, the computer is doing this. Oh, we just launched this, and oh, this is happening. This is happening, and
Yeah.
this affects their foresight thinking and then approach to decision making, and then
Okay.
it then impacts what they come to the team meeting to say. But the funny thing is, at the end of the day, the product manager bears this cross.
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
The product manager
I can hear you.
bears this cross for two reasons. You it's the PM is like the bridge between the founding
Mm-hmm.
members or founding team and the product team,
Yeah.
right? So
And it's
he's
pretty
in
fair.
between. So
Yeah.
he gets this and he's like, why? And
You you
without
you guys
without
you guys are like,
yeah,
yeah. So I was just gonna
without
say you
getting
guys are like
those
the referee. You know,
tangible.
like they were in a fight.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody's dragging you. Everybody's dragging your shit. So they,
Yeah. I
without
know.
getting that tangible why, you're like, if you can't even say that, okay, this is what the company wants, right? And you
Yeah.
give some nice English in between, and then you bring it back to your team. Oh, we are having a product meeting, and I have a news to announce. We're 90% gone, but because of this recent news we got, recent information from top management, we're no longer going this path. And everybody's asking you why. So it's a lot of why it's going. Like, you don't have the
Yeah.
answers
Yeah.
yourself, and yeah,
Yeah.
and then you don't have answers to give. So I mean, the morale will obviously get dampened. If this happened once, if this is happening for the first time, I think it's excusable, right? Is
Okay.
because some to balance it, something like you're building for a period and you're close
Mm.
enough, and then maybe you see that there's no tangible future ahead and you want to end it, but you think of the sunk cost, something called sunk cost fallacy, how much you've invested into this product. And for this reason, you want to keep going, but you've seen there's no need and you want to stop. And then you completely understand with this instance, with this emphasis, that, okay, this is the first time it's happening and there's a new trend in the market. Yes, we're building, for instance, this application using this method, and it was going to be a manual process. But AI just came
Yeah.
into the market and it would, for some great
Yeah.
level, improve 80% of what we already have done. So let's change our
Yeah.
direction to this. And that's the first time it's happening. So I'm like, okay, it's
Yeah.
considerable because there's a tangible
Yeah.
reason to why we are not going to San Diego again, why we're now going to Dubai. Do you get? Meet them.
Yeah.
It's reasonable
Yeah.
that okay, there's this
Yeah.
policy about landing in San Diego that it would crash the entire plane. So let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And yeah, it
Yeah.
makes a whole lot of sense. So instead of thinking about how much you've pumped in, you're now thinking of
Yeah.
the things that could have happened in San Diego when you launch. So you're like, okay, it's
Yeah.
reasonable. But if you then
Yeah.
see that this has happened before, it's happening again, the morale would
Mm.
obviously get down. And how do you deal with this?
Mhm.
As you thinking of the answer, I think it's I'd usually want the there's this approach to leadership. You
Okay.
bring Either you bring the strategies based on the solutions you think should happen, and then
Yeah.
you try to influence it to become the actual thing that we then do, or you bring the problem, right? So what you want us to do is to discuss about solutions. So what I
Yeah.
would prefer to do would be to not be the first person to hear this
Okay.
information. I'd want to listen to this news with my CTO, the top senior developers. Let's hear at the
Yeah.
same time. And when we hear
Yeah.
at the same time, we would know the reasons why this happened so that with this leadership, we can then bring the problem to the team. This is where
Yeah.
we are. This is what
Yeah.
we wanted to do. And leadership says, because of this, that we cannot again use this path. We need to divert. And in their minds, they are thinking of the times it happened again and happened again. So at the end
Yeah.
of the day, if they were on those calls, if they
Yeah.
were also in that conversation and they knew
Okay.
the reason from the top, I think
Yeah.
your work is easy. It's just to gather these. Yes, it's just to gather the leftovers, right? You've gone to war already, so just gather
Yeah.
the leftovers and let's
Yeah.
how do we start out from here? I mean,
Mhm.
this is hopefully that you don't lose some members of your team through resignation.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you kind of like touched more on the morale, because obviously the team building the product is very essential, that they've still got that enthusiasm, to build, to sort of like deliver a really, really great product,
Yeah.
for the customers. So yeah, really making sure that the morale is still at the same, they still got the same energy, still excited about the projects, and
Yeah.
probably throwing a boxes of pizza maybe every now and then to the team, kind of like really, really helps a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. So, just because you mentioned AI, and AI is practically, woven into everything that we do now, which is kind of like how it changed in what, 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
um, so which of the current AI tools, is in your product management? So pretty much is, how are you currently using AI tools in your project management systems?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Actually, away from 9 to 5. So more
Okay.
than just being a product manager, I know that at some point I'll get a product into the market. So I love
Okay.
to explore, I love to build myself.
Oh, no.
And I am currently exploring Lovable. Lovable is an
Oh, yeah.
end-to-end AI development tool. So I have a product I've listed in Lovable, but this is what I did.
Okay.
Um, End to end, I'm able to the stacks in AI I use is cloud,
Okay.
um, Lovable, and of course ChatGPT. And
Okay.
this is what I do. For a product management process, end to end, you have the discovery, the design before the
Yeah.
development itself and the rest. Right.
Okay.
So for discovery, you're either having customer that secondary research or primary research, right?
Mhm.
So starting with a simple prompt like in the discovery stage, like I'm building I'm building a product for financial systems, right?
Okay.
And of course you're giving that task, you're giving that context, you're also giving that personal role, and then
Yeah.
you're like, I need to speak with the target customers.
Okay.
Give me 10 valuable questions to ask them, right? And then when you're
Okay.
getting this, you're getting expert view of what to actually ask, right? Open-ended questions, right? And then
Okay.
you can easily use this to get on conversations. And then the next thing that then happens is while you're on those conversations,
Okay.
you prompt your system to for every reply you get, you're getting it stored on your database or you're getting it documented, right? There's also
Yeah.
that Gemini on Google. Gemini is another one of it. So you're getting Gemini on Google Doc. So you can then
Yeah.
ask with these answers I got from my clients, can you refactor set of core features you can build, right?
Okay.
Or core features that would be as an MVP to the product we are building, right? And
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
as a product manager, you're thinking about a lot of ideas, but when you then interact with users, it
Yeah.
starts to make sense that,
Yeah.
oh, this idea might not be tangible, but this is, and then you then reprioritize what was your prioritized
Yeah.
product and the rest, and then
Yeah.
it's now based on data you've gotten from them. So you're able to use AI to prioritize. You're able to use AI to prompt. You're able to use AI to get customer feedback. Then the
Mhm.
next stage would just be, all right, create a PRD, right? So
Okay.
the thing is, at the end of the day, regardless of AI, they see the need
Mhm.
for fundamentals, the product sense, because these
Yeah.
are step by step, right? So you're creating a PRD, which is product requirement documentation, and
Yeah.
it can hallucinate sometimes. So you're still able to, yeah, for real, you're
Uh,
still able to it dictates preview it, and then you're doing this, say it's the second day, but it's still making sense that this would normally happen in an entire an entire month or 3 weeks
Yeah.
stops, right?
Yeah.
So you're now from, you've gotten your PRD, you've gotten your questionnaire, you've gotten your MVP
Mm.
scoping. You can
Yeah.
then bring it to, you can then bring it to Lovable, right?
Yeah.
So what I would ask Lovable is, let's create an implementation plan.
Mm.
You have the scope, you have the design system, the sketches, you have
Mm.
the product requirement documentation, and you're like, if you can create an initial version of this product, and it
Yeah.
creates, and then it's interesting that, for instance, if I need a technical partner on my team, I will
Yeah.
not start from the paperwork. I will not start introducing, let's do this. I'm actually introducing the already built MVP of the MVP, right?
Because you've used AI to do the work.
Yes, it's
Okay.
real.
That makes
It's real. And
yeah.
it's the same thing with what your users will see. So it's thinking of speed and
Mhm.
quality being achieved at the
Mhm.
same time. So you're then bringing them on, and all they have to do at that stage is just review the code base, and they're reviewing the
Yes.
code base in say a week. And normally all of this would take 3 months tops, but you can
Okay.
achieve it in just about 2 weeks. You build the product end to end. So for me, I use it for collaboration. I use it for
Mm.
documentation. I use AI for generating ideas. I mean, getting the inputs there and then
Okay.
getting a lot of outputs. I also use it
Okay.
to meeting summaries, right? There are meetings
Okay.
I have, and when I want to catch back with the summary, I also use AI
Okay.
to test MVPs, right? Like what I mean is the goal of an MVP is to validate the market idea. So you can use AI
Yeah.
to, okay, if I get, say, 20,000 persons sign up to this wait list, I then know that, wow,
Yeah.
this was an actual product that persons want. And I built it in a single day with AI. So 20,000 persons are waiting for me. Guys, let's get to
I
work
mean,
and
that's
then
just
have this.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just amazing, like being able to build things. So when you kind of like compare that to before the AI era, how would you compare, especially, looking at the timelines that, you kind of like build things really quickly.
um, it's incredible. uh, 5 years ago, the Fibonacci sequence, it starts with one,
Yeah.
1, 3, 5, and then poof. So the speed at which these things will happen will be crazy. So
Hmm.
in as much as we could not predict what will happen the last 5 years ago now,
Yeah.
we would not be able to
Hmm.
predict what will happen the next week, the next day, the
Yeah.
potentials of AI. So the changes are going to be rapid, and
Okay.
this would there are pros, there are cons. I'll start with the cons.
Okay.
It will make persons lazy. It will make developers lazy, for real.
Mm,
Because
okay. Why?
a single prompt would get your job done, and there's no you talked about morale. So there's no morale to keep learning when and and because of that, it would then cause the second thing. It would it would be easy to build
Okay.
products,
Yeah.
but it would be hard to build the right products. What that means is
Mm-hmm.
you have a lot of tools. Machine is doing the work for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for you to just prompt and then get products into the market. 1,000, a
Hmm.
million products out
Yeah.
there in say 2 years. But
Okay.
because you've skipped certain human in the loop things that need to have happened, you're not building right. You're not building the right thing, right? You
Okay.
assumed AI told you this would be the predictions, and then you did not validate it with the market segments, forgetting the people it actually serves and all of that.
Okay.
And the last cons I could say would be data privacy. But I guess this is why AI has its fairness and data privacy. But a lot of data would be would be available, and since it's available, we may not be able to manage them.
Mm,
Hopefully, hopefully there's some policies around data management of this. It's input and output. So all of these inputs that go in, there should be a lot of
okay.
data management of it. But away from the cons, I think the pros, it's it makes you efficient as a developer or a product manager, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
easy for you to prompt, even if you're in Africa, you can get a single prompt, the communication tone for how you would interact with someone who is in Saudi Arabia or who is in Northern America or wherever, say Chinese, yeah,
Yeah.
and it helps you interact with a wider audience. So you're starting with a local market, but you can build a global solution with what AI is giving you. So the
Yeah.
efficiency, the scope of build,
Yeah.
the accessibility of your products,
Mm-hmm.
and the ease of build also. And I mean, at the end of the day, what I then ultimately say will be the combination of machine intelligence and
Mm-hmm.
human intelligence. It's incredible what would happen. So product sense in the intersection of machine doing a top-notch job and a top-notch individual doing great. So it's incredible what tomorrow holds. I'm not saying the future now because we are living in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. That human collaboration with AI,
Yeah.
combined together. And just talking about what you just iterating on what you just said about the cons, I think that is where it's important that, we have to note that there still has to be that human element where, people have to still do the work, to still have to go to get user interviews, to get all of those really great surveys back from users to really find out the right product market fit. As much as AI out there, trying to make productivity increase by, close to, I think productivity right now has shot to about 70%, 60, we could say around 65% of
It's
productivity, which
it's 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 unsurprising because
it's
if
it
AI
is
can do, yeah, a
it
lot
is
of things we already do, there's a decline in human morale.
Yeah. Oh, do you actually think there's a decline in human moral?
I think so. I believe so. There's a decline, yeah.
And do
You,
you
you know,
think,
the first thing that happened was
yeah,
remote working. So
yes,
morale was here, remote
yes,
working, and then you're not head and shoulder with your teammates who would normally, the environment will motivate you. So there's that. So the still goes deeper, deeper,
yeah,
and I hope
yeah.
something happens that takes it back up.
But speaking from your own perspective, um, with AI right now, do you feel like your moral, when AI can do for example, before AI, it will take you maybe a week to write out your documentation or stuff like that. But now, you have AI and you could literally do that in a day. So how for you, does that increase your morale, or how does that work for you?
Uh, for me, it's
Yeah.
it's it's more of outcome and morale.
Okay.
What I mean is, for instance, on the side I write articles. So
Mm. Okay.
I would normally need I would normally need to sit and generate a lot of content from the
Okay.
ideation to actually writing, and then it will take a longer period of time, say 3 days or a week, to get
Okay.
an article source that would then cover me for the next month.
Yeah.
But with AI and a lot of systems being put into place, it's easy for you to generate more ideas. And then, I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's the persons who can leverage AI to get their works efficient that will stay afloat in this present day. Because I would not relegate my writings, my product development to AI. I would
Yeah.
still, it's for instance, you're seeing a write-up and then you're like, this is AI, A to Z. because it wrote it.
Yeah,
But there's how you can still use AI, not let AI use you, right? And you get the
absolutely.
output exactly. So
Output. Yeah.
what's the outcome for me? I want to write and reach 1,000 persons weekly. I want to lead industry conversations at least three in a quarter and all of the rest. So my morale is backed based on that outcome, right? So whatever systems in the loop that help me
Mhm.
achieve that, it is mine. At the end of the day, the outcomes are achieved.
Yeah. That is just great because you just said something really, really really, really amazing. You said, I'm able to use AI to do other things. So as much as I can do, I can use AI to make my job faster at work. But I love to write. I love to write articles, and that gives me more time to do other things that I love. So I think that's just amazing because
Yes.
imagine you are monetizing your articles, for example, that's more money in your bank. That's you literally smiling to your bank. So that's just really, really great. I mean, if you kind of like compare the AI era to when we didn't have I think just like you mentioned, not just for the productivity, but also to with that human element, we also thinking about, oh, how can we use AI to not just do not just do our work that we do, but also think about how we can use AI to do other things so that can also generate more revenues and more income for people as well.
So against popular notion that says AI will take our jobs, we have more jobs and in this present era.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, but
Get more sources of income even. Yeah.
yes, yeah, absolutely. So as much as we know that most jobs will be um would be taken or rather be replaced by AI, but also too there's just that great advantage that AI would also be able to um AI would also be able to generate to create new jobs, and I think that's just great. So that human element is definitely still needed. So AI or no, AI or not, we still need new humans. So people should, realize that humans are still definitely needed. We still need the human brain to think of great ideas when it comes to ideation and all that stuff, because obviously, like it's just a machine and just prompting it to do things and but you can't take away the human element, really. You can't. Okay.
Um,
Also, okay. So let's go to the next question. So let's say you were given an unlimited budget, no barriers, no blockers, and a great dev team that moves quicker than the speed of light. They will never say no to anything that you know you have unlimited budgets, no barriers, no blockers, a great dev team. What's that one product that you would drop everything to build? And why does it have your heart?
okay, it will be an agri-tech solution,
A what?
agricultural technology solution.
Oh, that is so good. Oh, okay. Okay, that is cool. I
I have
like
a
that.
background.
I like
My,
that.
my engineering background
Okay.
is in agric
Oh, nice.
engineering, and that was my start to product management. Yes, I've then done a lot of other things, but it would be like a good homecoming because I understand
Yeah,
that at the end of the day, food needs to get to the table. And if we
yeah,
can use AI or whatever systems, technology in place to ensure this
yeah,
process is seamless,
yeah,
the market chain for the value chain is crazy. 13 billion as at the last check. And if you can take a particular niche of it and then solve a solution for more than just it's bringing monies to the persons who built it. It would
Yeah.
also give impacts to final users, final customers, consumers. It's, you're giving food to people, and it's hard to, for instance, I'm in Nigeria. Food is one major
Yeah.
challenge at the moment,
Yeah.
insecurity and a
Yeah.
lot of other things happening. So you're able to use
Yeah.
technology to bring this into um, food production from the very start. I said agric, not just food. So from the planting
Okay.
basics, right? You're
Yeah.
helping that's planting. So the entire value chain from the seed to the
Hmm.
fruits is, and then distributing that fruit to the table, then making preparations of a meal. So that would look like something like this. You're having you're having the technical teams trying to build something
Hmm.
in place to communicate with the local farmers. And then you're
Yeah.
then having the farmers do systems in place, this patented
Yeah.
though, and then they build something, and then they're able to produce better seedlings, they're able to produce better crops. With better
Yeah.
crops, better more food supply, increased yield.
Yeah.
With increased yield, transportation could then be another problem you face, but you're able to solve that problem using technology, and then
Mhm.
moves to the next thing, even as the final thing would then be ordering food online. So that entire value chain is still not crashed, and that would be something
Absolutely.
I consider.
Absolutely. I think it's just amazing because when you think about it, in Nigeria, we have like, we grow our own crops, which is really great. And having all of
Yeah,
the crops sort of like in the food chain, automation process from when the crop is being planted to when it's harvested, all of that being
yeah.
managed in an application, and all the way to the customer or the consumer. I think it's a very, very valuable. Um, yeah, it's really, really valuable. But that's really great. I like that you thought about agriculture because I think that's one sector that technology really needs to be used in the agricultural sector. But yeah, awesome. Okay, so um, what's the funniest or weirdest piece of user feedback that you've ever received, and how did it influence your products, or how did it improve your products?
That would be the use of F word.
Are you serious? Oh my God.
Yeah.
So how did that influence your product?
Uh,
Did it make you feel like, okay, I need to go back to the drawing boards to sort of like,
Actually,
or did it make you okay?
it was funny because I didn't receive this directly. It came through the project management team, and um, it was really funny. So she reaches out to me that, why is this person cussing me out? What did I do wrong? Yeah. The mail comes directly to
Okay.
her, and I
Okay.
laughed. It was crazy.
Okay.
But like when we sat the next time in the meeting, we ensured that
Mhm.
this would never happen again. Like that situation that caused that user to use that word on my innocent project manager that's ruined that day was never going to
I
happen
know.
again. So we had to
Yeah.
step back to that there's this word, first level thinking. What caused it? We could
Yeah.
build it on the effect side, but what really caused
Yeah.
this issue? So going to the very beginning and then
Yeah.
understanding, oh, this was it. And with that approach, you build better and hopefully avoid a lot of efforts being spread out.
Oh, I see. So basically, that made you guys to go back to the product to kind of like think about, okay, what really might have been, the user's
And
pain point.
yeah, and actually, this the issue we realized was um, it was accessibility, right? If you're on a global team, you're building a product with North America in mind or Africa in mind, but are you
Yeah.
thinking of other areas? And
Hmm.
in as much as it can be really, really useful and valuable to to
Mm-hmm.
the African market, the European market. If it is not acceptable by the Asian market, there's need for you to know what to do differently, right? Maybe a
Yeah.
product variant, maybe some other changes in your product reception, so that when it hits um, the search engines of these persons in Asia, they don't see that same variant that persons in US are seeing. So yeah,
Awesome. That is really great to know. I mean, feedbacks are always very important.
definitely.
Okay.
Especially the bad ones, the bad feedback.
Especially the
Okay,
bad one.
sometimes
But
when you get
yeah,
too much good feedback and you don't know what to do next, you think you're
yeah.
on a
The,
cruise.
the,
So you need someone to bring you back
yeah.
to the wow.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. I think it's funny because I think the tech industry is the only industry that we don't focus on the positive feedback. I think we
Yeah,
focus a lot more on the negative feedback because that is where the growth is. The negative
yeah.
feedback is where the growth is.
What
Uh,
is looking at Google Play feedbacks, the comments that we
yeah,
get, you
yeah,
why and that's another means of generating product ideas and solutions for your next future build.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, Okay, I've had such an amazing time. I don't even want this podcast to end. This episode has really been great. But
Thank you.
I've gotten to my last question. Um, as a PM, what's your favorite productivity hack? And what's that skill you rely on when everything seems to be, when everything is kind of like on fire or everyone is kind of like chaotic? What's that one skill that you rely on?
Okay, so I'll start with the last question. What's the one skill I rely on?
What? Yeah.
It's a soft skill. It would most
Okay.
likely be empathy. That's
Oh,
and
nice.
it's mostly around emotional intelligence. It's mostly around
Right,
people management. So
right.
I would want to speak with a team member. I would want to interact with my team. I would want to. This is no recorded section. This is just us discussing. And
Yeah, yeah.
people management is that skill, or call it
Mm,
empathy. Right?
yeah,
At some point, every leader still falls back to trying to understand from the shoes of others. And this then means for the first question you asked, what do I rely on when I want to recharge? Is actually hang out with other PMs and other technical leads. It was funny over
okay.
the weekend. Over the
Okay,
weekend,
okay.
my sorry, what's it called? My reminder,
Okay,
it refreshed what I did that day, that yesterday,
okay,
a year ago or 2 years ago. We're chilling as product managers somewhere in the city, having fun, playing
okay,
like kids, and it was recharged. So
okay.
my comment was, how did we get so old that we've not done this in a while? Right.
Uh,
So yeah,
Yeah.
catching up with them, no work related, no laptops. It's just to have fun, recharge, get better, and from
Yeah.
there, some other ideas how you manage your teams, and it can rub off you. And yeah, spending time with family is the second thing I love to do. So yes,
Oh, that's so nice. Absolutely. That's really great. So those are your productivity acts. Spending time with friends, spending time with family. They kind of boost kind of recharge you, like you said.
yes, they do. This is
Absolutely.
non-related, non-product related hacks. But yeah, there's that
Yeah.
reading, there's studying up again, going back to your 0 to 1 beginner books. But yeah, before all of that, I think I just need to catch up with family after a crazy sprint week. And I'm better this for the new week.
I know, right? Especially those sprints. Oh my God. Like, how do you even manage those sprints? Like, you guys, I don't know how you guys do it. You guys definitely have some superpowers, honestly.
Number one, do not launch a product on Friday if you want to have a good weekend.
Are you serious?
Nah,
You don't?
I
Because you're
don't
gonna
launch a
get caught.
product.
Oh no. No.
Keep it till Monday.
Pity what? I saw that that flows during the week so that at least you have time to work Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense because you don't want to ruin your weekend.
Mm.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Frank, I had such an amazing time. Honestly, I would have kept going. This was supposed to be what a 45 to 1 hour podcast, but we've ended up spending over, I don't even know, over an hour plus now. But yeah, thank you so much for being part of Tech Laughs and Bytes, and we can't wait to have you again for another future podcast session. And yeah, and I just wish you all the best in all of the amazing products that you build. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you too for having me, and yeah, looking forward to other collaborations too. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, great. Have a great day.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah. Bye. Cheers, bye.